is there, excuse me, yeah, I'm sorry.
Very short question.
Is there any government in the world, I mean in our history, a government that was not contaminated by religion? I mean, not just for a few years like it was during the French Revolution, but for a long time. Is there any example?
Well, I think the longest example of a constitutional government with a regular transition of power and a legally reviewed Congress is that of the United States of America. I wrote a letter of complaint to the children's page of the Washington Post the other day, which I monitor closely because my children might be reading it, which said, you know, all the good news about the inauguration and chatty stuff about previous inaugurals and so forth and so on. And it said of all the previous presidents, ethnicity, all but one English, which is true. I think Martin Van Buren was the only one till Mr. Obama threw that, or Irish. And religion, it said all Christian. Not so. Definitely not true of Mr. Jefferson. Certainly not true of Mr. Lincoln. I happen to think, by the way, not true of President Obama, but I can't be certain of this. Shall I tell you a story? Or shall I point something out to you, rather? You all saw the inaugural. It was pretty good, I thought, and the speech. It was actually a fantastic day to be in Washington, I will tell you. Was anyone here? There? Oh, good. Well, did you think the Metro could have managed that? With no one even throwing a punch? No, not one punch thrown, not one purse snatched, not one mean look. No one was arrested the whole day. It's wonderful in other ways too. But towards the end of his speech, the president said, here's what George Washington ordered to be read to the people in the deep winter of Valley Forge, when it looked as if it was not going to work. And he then quotes these brave statements from of how the city and the people came out to meet the danger in the darkest and most frigid moment of them. And I felt like a fool later, because I was actually able to watch it from the top of the Canadian Embassy at a wonderful vantage point, because I was doing some BBC work. And I was so sort of excited, I didn't think, why is he saying Washington had this read out to the people? Because if I'd asked myself, I would have known. There was only one time Washington ever had anything read to the people. Do you know what it was? Yes, you do. Actually, it's in my strangely neglected little book on Thomas Paine. The crisis was read aloud to the troops, not the people, but to the troops at Valley Forge. And that's what the words that the president closes by saying are from. So he ends by quoting Thomas Paine. Question: why does he claim to end by quoting George Washington? Interesting, huh? Because no one is more hated by the Christian right in the United States than Thomas Paine, because of his contempt for the Bible and his rubbishing, which was written by the Age of Reason was written just down the road from here in the Luxembourg prison. Now, it's fascinating to me. The president takes the risk of quoting Paine as his peroration. He says, all he says is George Washington ordered these words read aloud. I think it could be an interesting presidency. I mean, I'm supposed to be a literary critic, and it took me 2 days before I picked it.
Well, thank you for sharing it with us.
No, go into it.
Yes.
Read it again.